Warning. The Maverick Marketer is not for the soft, timid, or faint-hearted. If you need permission or seek approval from your mother, spouse, mates in the pub, or anyone else for that matter, this really isn't for you. If any of what you've heard puts you off in the slightest, I advise you not to listen any further. You've been warned. Prepare yourself for the no bullshit, zero fluff. Quick, dirty, and uncensored secrets for any serious coach, trainer, consultant, or speaker who wants to earn more money with less work and fewer headaches. Without having to kiss ass or bend over backwards to please anyone. He's a relentless and fearless renegade who will stop at nothing to reveal the harsh, unforgiving, and brutal truth about what it really takes to succeed in this business. He's a guy people love to hate and hate to love. It's your host, Drew Edwards. The Maverick Marketer is Unleashed.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Maverick Marketer Unleashed podcast. This is Drew Edwards from maverickmarketerunleashed.com and eliteclientattraction.com. And we are joined today by our guest, Pyle. Caitlin, how are you?
Great. Thanks for having me, Drew.
Good stuff. Caitlin, I've been really looking forward to getting you on the show, hearing how you built a six-figure business in 3 months in one of the tightest niches on earth, as you say on your website. But for anyone who doesn't know of you or this is their first time hearing you, can you give us, a brief introduction to who you are and what you do now?
Sure. So I was a freelance proofreader for about 2.5 years after working in a court reporting or court stenographer office in Florida for about 2 years. And so I did proofreading for a while, and then I decided, and there's a long story behind that, but long story short, I decided to start an ebook or write an ebook about how to do what I was doing, how to work with the court reporting profession as a proofreader. And I sold 17 copies of that before I realized that it was actually not that good of a product. And so that was in December of 2014 that I stopped selling the ebook after selling it for about a few weeks. And we took it off of the market, which our audience wasn't very big at the moment, but we knew that we needed to improve it. So we made it into an online course and launched that in February of 2015. And within 3 months, the course had grown in popularity enough that our business had hit $100,000 in revenue within that first 3 months. So, and we've been growing ever since. We actually hit 1 million by 15 months, and now we're at 1.3 almost. And it's been like a year and a half, so it's just been grown exponentially, and we've had to learn a lot and put a lot of things into practice that a year and a half ago I had no idea existed or how to do them. So life has changed. Life has changed.
Awesome. I mean, it sounds brilliant. I mean, I do want to sort of dig deeper into that and find out exactly what your course does and how you started it. But before we get into that, can you tell us something about you that most people don't know? So an interesting or funny story.
That's a good question. So an interesting or funny story would be I knew I didn't want to work for somebody else way back in probably 10th grade in high school, where I wrote that I didn't want to work for somebody else, and I had my first job, and I knew that really early on, even though I went to college just like a good girl would, and or university, and yeah, I knew way back then. I hated having to ask permission to use the bathroom or in school, and I hated having to ask permission to do every little thing, and I didn't know it then. And most people think, I was such a good girl, I did everything right. I was, valedictorian at my high school, but that's not who I was at all. I was a little bit of a rebel in my mind. I just never acted on it, and now I guess I'm acting on it a little bit, but I knew way back then that I didn't want anybody else to be my boss or tell me what to do.
Okay, awesome. I mean, can you tell us sort of a bit more about, do you have any sort of early experiences where you realised actually that you can't work for somebody else and you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to work for yourself? Is there anything that stands out in your mind where you thought, no, I can't do this anymore?
Oh yeah, definitely. So my first job before I graduated from my university in 2009 was at a court reporting or stenographer office in Florida, where the agency scheduled the reporters, and I just worked there and did marketing and answered phones and things like that. And I got fired from that job brutally. They sat me down in an office and they said that I was trash and that I made them sick and that my butt was too big to be a personal trainer, which is what I wanted to be at the time. They were horrible to me. They forced me to pay them $2,000 US dollars and under threat of ruin if I didn't, and it was horrible. And so at that point, I didn't know, that I was going to become an entrepreneur, but I knew that I never wanted to go back to an office environment like that. Yeah. And I haven't since. It's been 5 years next month that happened, and my life is so much better. I'll never go back to that.
Brilliant. Good stuff. I mean, it's quite a brutal story, but quite a sort of good and inspiring one as well.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about the ebook. How did you convert that into an online course? I mean, I know there's a lot of people listening to this right now, coaches, trainers, and consultants who they're sort of doing what they're doing, but they sort of want to move online. I know they want to start a course, or they've perhaps started one and it didn't launch very well. It didn't sort of get the results that you got. How did you create the course? How did you create the course?
So I used the ebook. The ebook was everything I thought everybody needed to know about how to proofread transcripts for these court reporters. And I sat down. It probably took me about a week from start to finish to just write down everything in my mind about the process and what you need to know. And then I started selling it to people, and I did it in roundabout ways. Like I went on Fiverr and I found people who were offering proofreading services, and I messaged them directly to ask them to join my mailing list, which is actually probably against Fiverr's policy. But I did whatever I could think of, to reach my target audience, because I thought at the moment, I'm going to try to target people who are already proofreading. What I ended up targeting was, stay-at-home moms and people who wanted to work from home, and there's a lot of them out there, and so I ended up finding those. But when I sold that ebook to 17 people, they got like one-on-one training with me, and so I would get back these lists of questions of, well, this doesn't make sense. What is this? And I saw this, and I don't understand this. And I was really frustrated at first. I'm like, how do you guys not understand this? But then I realized that they were actually telling me what information needed to be in the next version of this training material, which eventually became an online course. And so I would take their questions and build it into a lesson, or I'd be like, this would actually be a great video. And so I figured out how to use a screencast software and made a video where I would show people on my iPad, which is what I use to do the proofreading, how to do this specifically. And I took that frustration and turned it into a direct roadmap into how I could make my product better. All these questions people had, they were telling me exactly what I needed to teach them and exactly what they wanted to learn. And so instead of getting frustrated and giving up, like, oh, these people are too hard to teach, like, I let them make me better.
Awesome. Brilliant. And what about delivery? I mean, you mentioned that they sort of got coaching calls with you, but what software, I guess, did you use to sort of host the online course? How did you deliver it to your clients?
So I don't do one-on-one anymore unless they pay above the course fee for it, but I use a plugin on WordPress called WP Courseware, and it's like $100, and it was great. It allows you to create the content and embed anything you want and then drag and drop into a course format. And it does take some learning. Anything with WordPress is going to take some learning, especially if you're new. But I learned it from scratch, and I'm good friends with the developers of the plugin. And so whenever I've got an issue, they take it as an opportunity to make their plugin better as well. When I discover like a new bug or something and they can fix it. So it's been really good, and it's a lot less expensive. A lot of people think you have to pay hundreds of dollars a month to have a subscription to a software as a service that will allow you to create an online course and have all this stuff. But I totally what they call bootstrapped it, and that I did not want to pay $100-something or $200 a month to have a subscription to this type of service. Yeah. So I figured out how to do it where I would only have to pay one time for this plugin. And I do pay for updates. It's like $100 a year, $80 a year for updates and support access, but it's been totally worth it because, you save a lot of money that way. And I'm all about cutting costs where I can. And it seems like, $250 a month is a lot to pay for a SaaS product, then it's too much and I don't want to pay it.
Awesome. And Caitlin, you work in such a small niche. I mean, I'm guessing that I've never sort of heard of any course like yours. So I didn't even know there was particularly a demand for it. How do you monetize such a tiny niche?
Well, I knew that there was more people. I shouldn't say I knew. I didn't know there was anybody out there who wanted to pay to learn how to proofread transcripts. I thought, all right, I had probably a very limited mindset at first. I had doubts, I had limiting beliefs, and I said, I'm going to try this and we'll see where it goes, And so I started just targeting people who worked from home and partnering with other bloggers that had an audience of people that wanted to work from home. And people told me they were interested in it. They're like, I've always had an eye for error. I love words. I love this. There's a lot of people out there who love it. And so we just eventually got more people onto our own mailing list and going through our sales funnel and selling the course.
Awesome.
Pretty much.
Awesome. And like working in such a tiny niche, is that something that you think has benefited you in the long run, or do you sort of, if you went back and you could do it again, you'd have a bigger audience?
Well, I have expanded. I have proofreadanywhere.com, which is my main blog where I sell my courses, but I've also branched out a little bit, and I just actually published a book this year called The Work at Home Survival Guide, because I kind of recognize that there's going to be quite a few people coming onto my website that are curious about it, but are definitely not good fit for, being a proofreader. So I've begun in the last year or so gathering more resources, and, writing this book was part of it, where I could help anybody in the work at home world find their fit. And so I've started doing affiliate marketing for, transcription courses, and I've actually had a hand in creating a transcription course over on transcribeanywhere.com with a colleague of mine. And, promoting a bookkeeping, how to become a bookkeeper course, which you can do that in any niche for any kind of, you could be a bookkeeper for dentists, a bookkeeper for, golfers or whatever. And, just promoting different other people's courses because there's so many people that I'm trying to monetize the traffic that will never buy from me, but they maybe will buy from somebody else. And then ironically, I've found that even the people that have purchased my course have decided, I don't want to just do proofreading. I want to do virtual assisting as well. And so they'll find out about this great course that I partnered with that helps people become virtual assistants, and they'll add on that course as well. And so they're becoming like these amazing freelancers with all these different skills, and I've been able to introduce them to that and earn money off of, the courses that they bought.
Awesome. Brilliant. And Caitlin, I mean, during your journey, obviously you've achieved a lot in a very short amount of time. But I'm guessing sort of it wasn't an overnight success. I'm guessing there were some challenges and near failures on the way. Can you sort of give us some of the biggest roadblocks that you faced on your sort of path to where you are now?
Oh yeah, so for the last year or so, I've been dealing with this small group of haters online. They're actually court reporters, and some of them are other proofreaders that didn't go through my training, that had already been proofreading before my program came out, and so they feel very threatened by me. They think I'm pumping out thousands of proofreaders a month, which is so far from the truth. And so they've been telling all these lies and making up rumors about what I'm doing and what my program's really about, even though they've never seen it. And there've just been, so many ugly conversations that I've been a part of, and Facebook groups mostly, where, there's like a scoping, proofreading, court reporting job board, and every now and then somebody will be like, I'm getting these emails from people who have taken this course. Can anybody tell me anything about it? And people who know nothing about it will chime in and say, oh, there's this girl, she's just scamming people. And, and so that's been going on for about a year, but, I've been fighting that, but at first, when I first saw it, I was devastated. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the invisible internet authority coming to take me down, and that wasn't what they were at all. And a year later, I've made some major strides against these haters, and I've partnered with very respectable people in the industry that these people actually like. And so now these people that hate me are seeing that people that they like are partnering with me to help with their marketing and redo their online courses, and now they're kind of shutting up a little bit. They're kind of losing steam, losing fuel, I should say. Everything that they had to say against me is being proven wrong. And so just patience and kindness. At first I was a little bit defensive and I would say mean things back to them, but then I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm either not going to say anything at all, or I'm going to say something, just state my facts calmly and then walk away. And so I've been doing that for about a year, and it's really paid off. So.
Awesome. And Kayla, I know sort of the story you shared there, a lot of people listening to this will either have experienced that already, or that's sort of their worst fear. And it's the biggest thing stopping them from marketing their business, putting themselves out there and being really, I guess, aggressive with their marketing. I don't want to get someone coming back and saying any negative things. So, I mean, how did you deal with it mentally?
Well, it was hard at first, and I let my heart rate go really high at first, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I should just shut down my website. These people are going to be the end of me. But then I realized that they were saying mean things without any foundation at all, and they didn't know me. They had never spoken to me. They were saying things that were not true, and I knew that eventually the success of my students and my success and, how happy the clients are that my students had gotten would eventually win out. And so if you look at what mean things people are saying, and the truth, and then you calmly speak the truth, and you remain professional, and you don't let that, some whiner on the internet, even though they've been quote unquote in the industry for 30 years and they know more about what they're doing than I do, the fact that they're wasting time on the internet trying to make you look bad, that says more about them than it says about you.
Yeah.
And so you start seeing those patterns. At first it really sucks, but then you see the patterns of the same people saying the same mean things that are not true. And I had to threaten a lawsuit once, like that kind of, they were criticizing me for making money, but I'm like, yeah, I got enough money to sue you. So I wrote them a letter and I said, if you don't stop saying these lies about me on the internet to people that could affect my business in a negative way, there's libel laws in the United States where you can actually sue for that.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not above that if you don't keep quiet. And so since then, it's been since like last September, she's been quiet, but I had to actually threaten a lawsuit. But so it's gotten a lot better as I realized that some of these people are just crazy and some of them are just mean. They're just mean people. And so I've gotten to where I laugh when I see them say things, and I almost feel bad for them because they literally have nothing better to do than come online and say mean things about other people. So yeah.
Awesome.
It helps.
Good stuff. And what about, so I mean, you mentioned the challenges you've had with haters online. What about in terms of within your business? Has there been a time where you've sort of set a goal or had a target you wanted to reach and you've not hit that? Has there been any time like that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always projects that you take on. You're like, I want to be done in a month, and then it takes you 6 months, and so that can be kind of draining. I'm working on something right now, partnered with somebody else in the industry who has another online course that teaches editing for court reporters, and working on converting her 17-year-old website. This lady's website has not changed in 17 years, so it's been up since 1999, and it's the same website built on really old pages using really old CMS, content management technology, and just converting everything over. And I made the mistake of thinking it was going to be quite easy and then we'd have it done in a month. And no, it's taking us like 2 months, 2.5 months. And then she just told me she doesn't think she'll be able to have it done in the next month. And we had a deadline of this month, the end of this month. And so it might get pushed back. But I'm like, you know what? Who cares? Like, we're just going to get it done. We're going to do as much as we can and we're going to plod along. And when it's done, it's done. And then we'll look back on this and laugh type thing. So, there's really no hurry. There's more to life than business. And I've realized that a lot just, since I've been traveling so much, and I'm happier when I do less work usually. And so I'll do, 3 hours work a day, and then I might do some more in the afternoon, but I like taking breaks now, and I like, reading and, just spending some time doing things that's not completely wringing out my brain. So there's more to life than business. And so I don't let it get to me as much as I used to.
Okay, good stuff. And you say you don't let it get to you as much as you used to. What did you used to do? How did failure or not reaching your targets used to affect you?
Oh man, I would work so long. I would work like 14-hour days, and I'd work from 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and I would just become in such a bad mood just trying to get as much stuff done as possible because I felt that was the hustle. And there's this kind of trend in online business world that says if you're not working your butt off, then you're not going to see any results, and that's just not true. It's just how you spend your time. So if you can manipulate how you spend your time to be really productive, and I like to set a timer for myself. So I'm going to work for 3 hours this morning, and then I'm going to go eat lunch and take a walk. And so I'll get a crap ton of stuff done in 3 hours. So more than I would get done if I wasn't timing myself, if I was just piddling around, if I was just, kind of stretching out. If I knew I was going to work all day, then it would take me all day to do those 3 hours of things. Whereas if I really focus, then I can use the best, most productive time of my day, just getting all of it done in 3 hours. And then I can take a break and then do the same thing the next day. And what I've found is doing things that way, I get more done in 3 hours a day over 5 days than I would in like a whole day where I work 15 hours, and so it's just, manipulating and using your human nature to work to your favor, and you make yourself a happier person that way.
Brilliant. And I mean, you mentioned you set a timer and you only work 3 hours. Apart from that, is there anything else that you do in terms of time management to ensure that you're more productive and ensure that you get the important stuff done each day?
I've actually, it's a little convoluted, but I have been trying to lose a few pounds. And so I've been looking into, many of you may have heard of it, intermittent fasting, where you basically postpone eating during the day. And so actually not eating breakfast has helped me a lot. I don't eat until noon every day, but then I still eat the same amount of calories. I just don't eat them in the morning. I just wait and I eat them at noon. And so I just kind of push my eating schedule. And I've actually lost quite a few pounds doing it. But at the same time, I've been able to not wake up and immediately go to the kitchen, spend half an hour eating, preparing food, and I can just go straight to work. And I'm actually quite focused, and, I don't have to worry about making food or eating, sitting down, cleaning up, all that stuff. I can sit down at my desk at 9 o'clock and I can work until noon, and then I can get a crap ton of stuff done and then go have lunch, and the food tastes better and I've saved time and it makes my life simpler. So it seems kind of like a roundabout thing, but it's really come full circle for me.
Awesome. And did you say that's called intermittent fasting?
Yeah, it's called intermittent fasting, and it's quite a healthy way to reduce your calorie intake without realizing. It's actually quite easier for people to eat 900 calories twice a day for women than it is for women to eat 600 calories 3 times a day. So you save time by just moving the time that you eat.
So what's the basis of it then? Is it literally just you delay your breakfast and sort of have lunch and dinner instead, or how does it work?
Yeah, for me, you can make your own eating windows, kind of what they end up calling it. And so mine is like 12 to 7. So I'll eat at noon or 12:30, and then I'll eat again at 6 or 6:30, and I'll stop eating at 7, and then I won't eat again until noon the next day. And it takes some getting used to, and I thought I couldn't do it. I'm like, I have to eat first thing in the morning, but really the whole trend of, breakfast is the best meal of the day and whatever, it is important for some people who have a tendency to eat really badly, and they eat fast food because they're starving by noon and they didn't eat breakfast, and so they make bad choices. But if you're making good choices, and I eat vegetarian, so I eat a lot of really good stuff, and just by default, then it really doesn't affect me negatively at all. It just pushes me back to, and I end up eating less. It's kind of funny, if I ate breakfast at 9, I would probably be hungry again by noon and eat the same amount that I would have if I hadn't eaten breakfast. And so I've been seeing, just in the last 3 weeks that I've been doing it, my waistline has slimmed down considerably. My clothes are finally loose. They were tight for so long traveling the way I have, and it's just easy to eat out all the time. But eating this way, you can go on a cruise, on a big cruise ship, and if you just, time your eating the right way, then you can eat whatever you want and not worry about gaining weight as much, because you just manipulate your schedule a little bit.
Awesome. Brilliant. And well done on losing the weight as well.
Thank you.
You're listening to Maverick Marketer Unleashed podcast. For show notes, additional resources, and podcast updates, head over to www.maverickmarketerunleashed.com.
Just on that, with dieting, with business, one thing that you need is discipline. You need to obviously commit to the decisions that you've made there, with the sort of delaying breakfast, and the same applies with decisions that you make in your business as well. What do you do to, I guess, keep yourself committed?
Well, that your decisions, as you're making this kind of business, and that your decisions directly affect your income. And so if you see your income has dropped a little bit, and it has this summer, everybody's on vacation, and a lot of my friends in the work at home blogosphere, they've mentioned that, January through April is a huge, climb in income for them, because everybody's kind of riding on the New Year's resolution thing. But then the summer hits, all the moms, take off, and they don't worry about they have their kids out of school, and so everybody goes on vacation, and so everything just kind of drops. And so you see that happen, you're like, okay, so what can I do in my business to stir the pot a little bit? And so what I've done for my business is, so I'm going to do a promotion for my affiliates they'll get like a 10% bonus in the month of August. So all the commission that they make on sales, they'll get a 10% bonus on top of that. We'll calculate it and just add 10%. And if they make over $1,000 in commission, then they'll get a 15% bonus. And so it's just a really simple promo to, push them to, milk their audiences a little bit so we can build our list a little more and, increase awareness for the brand in a slower time of year. But at the same time, it's also a good time for us to just relax. The income and the traffic will ramp up again in August and September. And so my husband and I are going to go back home next week to the United States after being in South America for a year. And we're just going to relax a little bit and be able to take some time off without worry, because it's really not all about the money. The money is fine, and it's about enjoying your life too. And we're not going to get to the end of our lives and be like, damn, I wish we'd have worked straight through. I wish we never took any time off. And because there's just so much more that's rewarding about life than, the bottom line. And so if you can balance it out a little bit where you can take time off too and know that there's always going to be more time to ramp things up, then, you don't have to always worry about somebody swooping in and stealing your customers all the time. Like, there's literally thousands of people graduating, or hundreds of thousands of people graduating from college every year that are going to be looking for a way to make money out of college. And so, if you're selling something online that teaches people how to make money, then, there's always going to be more people entering that market.
Awesome. Brilliant. And I mean, a lot of people listen to this, or really any business owner, they're obviously, you mentioned it there that, like, the business is one thing, the money is one thing, but really what we're all after is freedom. And you've touched on it a few times there, the traveling you've done, and we spoke before we started the show off air about how you spent sort of the last year in South America. Can you just tell us a bit more about your lifestyle and the traveling that you've been able to do since you've sort of started this business?
Yeah, even when I was just doing freelance proofreading, I only needed my iPad, and so my husband and I decided to go to Ecuador and live in Ecuador for a year. And when the online business kind of took off about 2 months after we launched the course and things were really going well, I was like, well, gee, and I actually had stopped proofreading. I thought, we have more flexibility now. We can make money without me actually sitting there and reading the pages and earning the money. And so we thought, why not make our trip a little more exciting than just being in Ecuador for a year? And so we decided to do a year-long trip. We actually had planned on 14 months, but we shortened a little bit, just enough to get a tax benefit. As a U.S. Citizen, you can actually save quite a bit of money on your taxes by being out of the country. So we wanted to maximize that. So we needed to stay out of the country for 330 days in a year period to get that benefit. And so we planned it just enough to do that. And we went to Ecuador for 3 months, Peru and Bolivia for about 1 month, and then we were in Argentina for a month and a half before we went home for the holidays. And then we went back to South America to Santiago, Chile. And we were there for about 2.5 months before we took a cruise from Santiago, Chile, all the way around the Cape Horn in South America at the very tip. And we ended up in Buenos Aires, Argentina for 2.5 months. And then now we're in Uruguay for the last month, and we go home on Saturday. So we're quite excited. But basically, we just bring our computers with us and we can do work. I hired an assistant that really has helped me a lot. In February, in preparation for going on the cruise, I'm like, I can't have things just piling up while I'm gone and not able to get on the internet for 2 whole weeks on this cruise. And so we trained her, and she made my life so much easier while I was away. And she just, really gotten better over the last few months, and I gave her a raise and everything. So it makes my life easier if you have a really good assistant. But even if you don't, you can. My ideal workday is the way I just described it a few minutes ago, where I just wake up and I do 3 hours of work, and then I go do whatever I want for the rest of the day, guilt free. If you're really productive in the morning, then you can go have a nice lunch and then take a great walk, and then come home and maybe do a workout, or watch a TV show, or take the dog out, or whatever you want to do, and just really enjoy your life. So, that's just the kind of freedom that I've always wanted. I didn't know that it was ever possible for me, but it just kind of has become that way. And you kind of have to be careful, though, because we just talked briefly about being disciplined and balancing your life so you're not just a workaholic. It's easy to fall into that trap where you just work all day and you're not enjoying your life. You're not a happy person. You gain weight, you have stress and your hair falls out, all kinds of stuff that, you know, I dealt with. And I've really realized that you can be productive and enjoy your life at the same time, but you don't have to get it all done in one day. There's life to be enjoyed, and so if you spend it all working on your business, then you're going to let it pass you by, and you don't want to be in that position.
No. Brilliant. And you mentioned your husband a couple of times there. Do you work together in the business?
Yeah, he's actually chief blogger and over at our other blog, theworkanywherelife.com, where we talk about working anywhere and what our life is like. And even though we are heading back home to Orlando to kind of build a life there, we're not going to stay put. We're still going to go and travel and do fun things whenever we want, really. And so we're still going to be blogging about that, and we're going to be blogging about personal finance more because we've really gotten into investing. And we have made a lot of money off of our business, but we're not spending it all. And so we want to share with people why we're not spending it all, and what we're spending it on and what we're not spending it on, and just kind of sharing our whole philosophy of life with people on that blog.
Brilliant. So let's sort of take it back to the ins and outs of having an online course or a digital product. What, in your opinion, what are the most important elements of a online course or digital product that sells?
Oh man, I always say, actually over on the workanywherelife.com, we have another course about building online courses, and we're under construction right now, but we're going to be launching that in August. So just a few weeks, but we talk about the V's and Q's. So if you've heard the phrase minding your P's and Q's, I don't know if that's over on your side of the woods at all, but we call it minding the V's and Q's, which is value and quality. So it kind of comes down to excellence. If you're building something, whether it's an ebook, any kind of information product online, anything that you're going to have to gain someone's trust before they buy, you're going to need to make sure that it has high value and high quality, which means you can't put out the ebook that I put out. There's benefits to putting out a crappy product like I put out. Didn't know it was a crappy product, didn't know it was considered the minimum viable product at the time, and it helped me make the product that I have now. But I did the best I could, and so at the time that it was high value, high quality. But when you're creating an online product or anything, a website, you don't want it to look like a third grader put it together, unless that third grader was brilliant, right? You want it to look good, you want it to work, you want it to not have tons of typos in it. You don't want your blog post to be boring and pointless. It's not about just putting a bunch of words up there for search engine optimization. It's about engaging your audience and providing value. And so that would be, I think the two most important elements that everything else rides on. The backbone of a good product that sells would be value and quality.
Brilliant. And I mean, what, in your opinion, again, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make when they launch an online product or an online course?
So it's going to sound kind of funny because I sell a proofreading product, but not having their blog post proofread and maybe trying to write everything without any help. And so they'll just write random stuff that lacks punctuation, that is hard to understand. It's obvious that they're writing it just to get search engine. They're just trying to follow this set of rules without really being true to themselves. And so not being authentic, trying to overly brand themselves. So there's kind of a trend that you have to go get like 40 million professionally branded shots of yourself that you can plaster all over your website. And so it's just like the fake version of you. And I have a professionally done picture on my website, but if you go on my Instagram, if you follow me on Facebook, you're going to see real pictures of me, making a funny face, or, I might have a zit on my cheek or whatever. Like, you're going to see real pictures of me. People want to see who you really are. And so I kind of encourage people to, not follow suit with, the cookie cutter model of, I'm a life coach. Look at how happy I am. See all these 40 40 beautiful pictures of me. You can have a life like this too if you just pay me $4,000 to be your coach and all this stuff. Like, they're all doing it in the same way. And so you get on these websites and you're like, what exactly are you selling? Like, are you just trying to, it's obvious to me. I mean, not maybe to other people, but it's obvious to me that they've all taken some kind of course that they teach you how to brand yourself. And even though they might be working a full-time job behind the scenes, you can market yourself to where people that come to your website see you as this like epitome of success, even though the only thing you're trying to do is teach people how to do what you're doing. It's almost like a new type of pyramid scheme where, you know, you have this quote unquote success coaching business and you're teaching other people how to build success coaching businesses that teach other people how to build success coaching. It's like, so it's just convoluted. Like, it just keeps going, and you're just teaching people how to build the same kind of company that you have. And it's just, I don't agree with that at all. I think it's not authentic. It's not, you know, valuable. It's just preying on people that want to be successful, and they think the only way to do that is by buying this quote unquote product by somebody with a lot of makeup on. I don't know.
Okay, awesome. And so you talked about other people's branding and what you don't like about it. How do you, if anyone's listening to this now and they're sort of falling into that trap, what do you advise them to do instead? How do you market your business?
Just the way I am. I write my blog posts and I get frank with people. I don't say bad words, but I could if I wanted to. I just choose not to because I know a lot of my audience is conservative. But I can still be myself without saying, weird profanities. You know, I can be weird. I can post a funny picture, or, you know, if I say something that I'll say, you know, this might rub you the wrong way, but I don't care. I'm going to speak the truth, you know, and people love me for it. They love how authentic I am. They write to me and they're like, thank you for being real. Thank you for being, you know, somebody that's approachable and not somebody that looks like, you know, that's trying to pretend like they're above who they really are. And they're trying to make, lofty. They put themselves up on this pedestal on purpose because they want people to respect them. But you can actually earn somebody's respect by being who you really are. And so that's how I market myself. I'm very authentic. I don't act like somebody that I'm not. I invite my followers to be my real Facebook friends. And then, you know, that's a great way to market if you can actually because they'll see everything you post. And so you can actually market your business or, you know, market a product that you've tried and you liked on Amazon or whatever. And you can actually make money using your own personal Facebook wall if you want to use it for that. And you can always have like a separate Facebook for your own, for just your family if you want. But I just keep it all the same. And, you know, I really consider the people that follow me and that, you know, they're my friends, you know, they're my online friends, and they're different than my family and my very close friends, but they're still friends. And so I let them feel that way. And, I let them into my life.
Awesome. Brilliant. And what about list building? What do you do to grow your list?
So I worked a lot with other blogs, and that's something that I think a lot of people are scared of, reaching out to other people. They kind of see them as competition, and I almost fell into that trap. I was Googling proofreading at home, and I saw this work at home blog pop up, and I was like, what? I'm going to beat her. I can't believe that she's coming out for proofreading and I'm not, but I didn't. I almost fell into that, but I didn't. I clicked on her blog and I found her advertising tab and I looked into the kind of advertising she did and I didn't see what I was looking for. So I just emailed her and I was like, hey, you know, I have this course about proofreading. Did you want to become an affiliate? And then it all went uphill from there. The rest is history, really. She became an affiliate and my list grew, and so I found other affiliates and my list grew. And you know, you pay people when they make sales for you, but then if those people don't make the sales, then you're on your list forever until they unsubscribe. And so the cookie might die after 90 days or 60 days or a year or however long your cookie is, but those people are on your list forever. And so I built my list up to like 18,000, which is pretty good for a tiny niche of proofreading. And so I have a list that, you know, there's cookies attached for, the bloggers, but after a while, those cookies, if they don't buy, you know, they die. And so they become my list. And that's just the way it works. You know, you can become an affiliate and then somebody that found out about you a year ago from somebody else's blog will buy, and you don't pay an affiliate because it took a year and the cookie died or whatever. But using affiliates, and I don't mean using like in a bad way, but networking with affiliates, and building friends in the blogosphere that you guys have common goals. They want to make money, you have something to sell, so give them a way to make money off something that you're selling. And so it's kind of like just a really good partnership, I think.
Awesome. Brilliant. And what's been the biggest breakthrough in your business over the past 12 months? So something you've tried or something you did that worked really well?
That's a good question. I would say probably getting into affiliate marketing, monetizing the traffic that will never buy from me. So people will find a post about, work at home jobs on Pinterest that leads them to my website, and they might enroll in my opt-in, my free intro course to proofreading, but they might find a link to, another course that I offer, and that's a better fit for them. And so I still earn some money off of that traffic, but it's this year alone, I've made over $40,000 just in selling other people's products. And so that's like how much I made just as a proofreader before. It was $40,000 US. And so, you can replace a whole salary just by selling other people's products if you want. And so I think that that's been a big breakthrough, is just learning how to monetize the traffic that will never buy from you. And, I wrote a book called The Work at Home Survival Guide. And so I put, an offer for that on the thank you page. So when you enroll in the opt-in, and the thank you page shows up, and on one side it says thank you, here's what to expect, and then the other side is this limited time offer. You can get my book for $7, and it's called the Tripwire product. And so we learned how to monetize that kind of traffic. And it might not be a ton of money, but it's something, and it might be somebody that will never buy from you otherwise, but they bought your book, and then they might click a link inside that book that gets them to another product that you can earn money off of, that they will build a life of freedom for themselves, and you help them get there, but you also made a little bit of money doing it. And so I've figured out how to both make more money from traffic coming to my site, but also help people along the way.
Awesome. Brilliant. And what about, you mentioned sort of your own book there, but what books have you read that you would recommend to anyone listening to this read if they want to get into like either business in general or in particular creating an online course?
So that's a good question. I'm actually more of a doer. My husband reads a lot of books and kind of teaches me stuff that he learns, and he kind of helps me figure out what we're going to do next, and then I just go and do it. Yeah. So he's like, okay, go do this, and I'll go do it because he read about it online. I'm a blog reader, so I'll read like the Kissmetrics blog about using Twitter, or I'll read a blog post about how to automate your Pinterest pinning, and then I'll just go and do it. But I actually do not spend time reading books, which shocks a lot of people, but I actually just like to find a particular bit of information about something I want to do, and then I put it in action right away instead of spending time reading the entire book and then taking action. It tends to overwhelm me. And so, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I read this book and it changed my life. And I'm like, I read this blog and then I did something about it immediately and I saw results like really quickly. And so it's not like I'm lazy and I don't want to read. It's just I don't like reading books because they take too long.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. And who's been the biggest influence on your business journey?
I'd have to say my husband. I don't know if he can hear me, but I probably wouldn't have my business if it weren't for him. He discovered the entrepreneurial way before I did, and I was very skeptical, but he was just like, having me watch videos, and he enrolled in a course for entrepreneurship called The Foundation in summer of 2014, and that kind of, changed everything. He was working a corporate job. I was working a location independent job as a proofreader, and so but at the same time, I felt like because of his job that we were both trapped. Like, where I was married to him, and so if he wanted to only have 10 days of vacation a year, that's what I was stuck with. I wasn't going to go on vacation with him by myself or go on trips and travel without him. That's not very nice. And so I felt a little bit trapped. But when he changed his mindset. Mine eventually changed too. I was almost in disbelief at first, like, is Ben really going to quit his job? Is this really how he's changing? Is he really not going to climb the corporate ladder the way his parents wanted him to? Because that's what they knew and that's what they got successful with, was, working the same job for 40 years and just making the boss happy and that kind of thing. But when he changed his mindset to wanting to build something for himself, and he put the bug in my ear about creating the ebook, and then he put the bug in my ear about creating an online course, it really changed things. And so it continues to this day. He'll read something and he'll be like, let's do this. And I'm like, all right. And then he read something about quiz marketing, and so we're using quizzes in our marketing now. And so there's just a lot of things that he's learned that he's pushed on to me in a good way, and we've been egging each other on. And now I'm returning the favor. You know, he's building an online course, and he's coming to me for help on building it and writing the blogs and creating the images and things like that. And so we're really each other's coach.
Brilliant. And if you had to pick one piece of advice that he's given you, what would that be?
Oh man, that's really hard. I don't know that he's given me all that much advice. As he's given me action steps, like just do it, you know. And he's a lot better at retaining information than I am. And so he'll read the books, and I'll be like, yeah, if I read a book, I'm not going to remember anything the moment I close it. Like I'm going to have to concentrate on one section at a time, take action on that section. But he's kind of like the idea bank. And so I'll be like, what did you learn about this? And he'll be able to recall it almost immediately. And I don't know what I would do without that ability of him. You know, we really lean on each other. So I don't know that he's given me a particular piece of advice, but he's always been really reliable when I have an issue or I want to do something, and he'll be able to help me get to where I need to go to learn how to do it.
Awesome. Brilliant. And Caitlin, if you could go back 10 years and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, wow. I love that question. It's a little, 10 years ago, I was 19 and I was in college and about to, I think I was dating this weirdo. I don't know. It was,
your husband?
yeah, I was dating this weirdo. No, it wasn't him yet. I don't even remember his name. It was just some weird guy. And I was about to go to Germany for a year, and I had really had no clue what I could do for myself. I think it was in the back of my mind that I didn't want to have a traditional boss. I didn't want to have a traditional job, but I didn't know it was possible to actually create income for yourself. And I would have looked at myself and I would say, you know, pardon my French, but you don't have to accept bullshit from anybody. And I let myself accept the bullshit for a little too long. To where it affected me a little bit mentally. But at the same time, you know, if I'd never worked at the court reporting office where they treated me so badly, I wouldn't have learned how to proofread, and I wouldn't have, you know, wouldn't have had the skills that I needed to create the business that I have now. And so it's hard to say whether, you know, I would go back and change that. But I would say to myself, you know, you don't have to take the bullshit, and that learning will change everything. So even if you don't learn jack crap in college, which I really didn't, except I learned German because it was my minor, and so I learned that and lived in Germany for a while, and so it was a valuable experience. But even if you don't learn anything in college, that's not the end of you. You didn't waste those 4 years. You know, you can learn more in a year and a half about building an online business that will actually create income than you learned in the entire 4.5 years that you spent at your university. And that's exactly what happened. You know, there's so many ways to learn now. And I actually just wrote a blog post that will be published soon about how going to college and your college degree, how it doesn't create income. And so I'm going to be discussing that and my experience in college and everything that I learned that didn't get me anywhere and what I learned that did. And if I could go back and say to myself, you know, I probably would have dropped out. If I'd known that I could have just gotten a job without a degree, which I did. I had not got my degree yet, but I still got hired. And that I could teach myself everything I need to know to create income for myself, I probably would not have spent 4 years in college. I probably would have dropped out.
Yep. Okay. Fair enough. Awesome. Caitlin, where can our listeners go to find out more about what you do? So more about sort of some of the things you've spoken about during today's interview.
Yeah, I would head over to theworkanywherelife.com, and you'll see, you know, more about my story. There's a longer version of what happened to me, you know, working at the court reporting office and getting fired. You learn about my husband and learn about our journey in South America and our life now and our business numbers and different things. And then obviously if you want to learn about proofreading, you can go to proofreadanywhere.com, and you can reach us through those pages, the contact pages as well. So looking forward to hearing from you if you have any questions.
Brilliant. Caitlin, again, thanks for coming on the show and sharing your journey and your sort of ups and downs along the way. I've really enjoyed sort of hearing from you.
Thank you so much, Drew. It's been awesome.
Great stuff. I will speak with you soon. Until then, take care, take action, and be relentless.